Hey guys, what's up? Amir Ryder here for the Transform Sales Podcast, the software demo review series. I have my guest, Jesse Owlett, the CEO and founder of Leadmagic.io. Super active in the email community. This guy is a email community master. That's how we met, and I'm grateful to have him on the show. Jesse, what's up? How are you?
Hey man, couldn't be happier. How you doing? Great to chat with you today.
Yeah, likewise. So for those that don't know, Jesse, maybe you can introduce Leadmagic.io and tell everybody, what your software does and what helps buyers do that they couldn't do before without their software. And,
sure. Yeah. So Leadmagic, we're helping people with the problem where they need to find email addresses, they need to get all of that data live, and they need to get it into their messy CSVs. You have a bunch of CSVs that have your spreadsheets that have a bunch of contact data, and you want to clean it up. So we're doing it real time, which has some advantages over a lot of the different database tools out there that are sort of doing it in another way, where they're basically storing the data and then they're doing it. We're pulling it out real time, and that just allows us to be a little bit more accurate. And also we're doing it for less cost, so it doesn't really cost you as much. And we're allowing people to buy it only based on if we find the information or not. So a lot of people have been doing it. We've had to convince a hard audience, which is that growth hacker kind of like that group first. And that group's the hardest. They will, they'll shred your tool they'll try it out and then they'll get rid of it in the same hour if you're not good. So we've had to sort of like win that group over, and now we have sort of taken it out more toward the mainstream.
So if I could summarize for people, because obviously I know your product well, and I know your team well. So essentially, before your product, people will be buying, SAP software like email automation software and data provider, and then it'd be kind of cleaning it here, cleaning it there, kind of connecting a lot of tools together. And what you guys are really doing is being ahead of the curve when it comes to changes that are in the email industry and baking it all into your platform so people can deploy email campaigns faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. Would that be also a decent summary?
Yeah. And we've actually just added, we've added mobile numbers in there as well now. So we're now doing that. A lot of people have been happy with that information. They've said they've had their highest connect rates with our mobiles. We're just very keen on, hey, how much are you spending? I've paid for a lot of data in my life, for this stuff. And we wanted to get it to people faster, cheaper, better, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Talking about your ideal customers, is there a specific industry, employee count, location that is your sweet spot, your 80/20? Or, what does that look like? What are the clients that are raving fans of your product look like?
Yeah, today, right now, we've really, we've honed in on a particular market. I've got a lot of people who do a lot of email, cold email, that sort of thing. So that group has been sort of our market. And what I mean by that is like a lot of these companies are like either agencies, lead generation agencies that are doing it. They're building up their client base. They're enriching the data for their customers. They're going to need bulk discounts. They're going to need this stuff to come out fast, and it's going to need to come out through an API. So there's that group. And then really what's happened is a lot of startups now are starting to look at it as they're building their founding sales team. So like those types of things. And, for really any B2B business, now I know that's but if you really want to say where we've niched is, a lot of the Smartlead community, Instantly, some of the other email providers.
You have to say lead generation agencies are your best clients, not your only clients, but your best clients.
Right now, they're definitely what's making up the core. We've kind of built the messaging and built the product around that. But what we have done is we've found that a lot of the same clients would be the upmarket clients as well. So like, I guess it's, I hate to give the answer it's really any B2B business, but, that's using data providers that they're unhappy with, but it could be there. I think where we've gotten a lot of our traction early stage, right, is this agency market, which generally speaking needs a lot of data, and they need it to be the lowest cost, and it needs to get to them fast and most reliably. So that's really the group we've targeted. But once that secret's out, I think you'll start to see a lot more the larger.
Yeah, for the podcast, it's always difficult, right, for a CEO to like just say one thing, right? You want to help everybody, right? So I'm focusing in for anybody listening, not because Leadmagic can't help you. If you're not an agency, just kind of pull that 80/20 rule. But I would also probably add that you're helping a lot of enterprise customers that used systems like Outreach or SalesLoft and ZoomInfo and just find it to be a little bit behind the eight ball and a little expensive. Is that Would that be a crazy statement? Okay.
Yeah, and it might actually help when I start showing it. It'll probably show a lot better in terms of that, and how.
Last question before I show it. How do people measure success with your platform? And after you answer that, I click demo.
So when we're working with some of our private customers like you, and some of the other ones, the ones that, we have a very, the waiting list on that group is pretty long. We're not really taking on anybody that's doing that right now. But the rating list for that group, it's sort of like by the most, that we can do is like help them book set meetings with their ideal targets, help them get the messaging out, help them get delivery. I think obviously the last one is a joint effort around, getting the messaging right. But, we're sort of taking responsibility for the deliverability, the amount of replies, those things. But for the product that we're talking about today, the platform where we do the live enrichment of data, I think it'd be by accuracy, really by like, if we give you the right email address, if we give you the right information so you can put it in your campaign, by cost, right? So the lowest cost possible. And that's really what we've done is there and, give you the most accurate data.
Yeah, for anybody listening, we do partner with Leadmagic. You can find in our directory, and we also use them. It's kind of interesting because I think it's something to unravel, which we won't get into now, is that you're a do-it-yourself platform and a done-for-you service too, right? So I think when it comes down to executing campaigns, buyers can use technology to verify leads at low cost, verify mobile numbers at low cost, and then they can use more the more they want to do, right? You also have a service component where if someone wants it done for you, where you do the writing, you do the management, and you put the leads right in Slack, which I'm not going to share my screen, but we have Slack. We have a channel called Leadmagic, and we see all the responses, positive, negative, neutral. So you also are in a way, a platform, a platform with a service attached to it. So you do done for you and do it yourself services, right?
Yeah, and the journey is interesting too, right? We started out as more helping people with their email campaigns, and we've sort of pivoted, as any company would, more to, it's when you go from like an agency to a product company, and we're learning along the way. Of course,
agency work, right? And so there's a wait list for the
along the way.
Yeah, which makes sense, guys. So because we're do it complete service, and we were lucky enough to get in on his program, which is great. We've been getting help with Tucker and Drew. Your team is just awesome. So let's do this. If you can, share your screen and maybe do a quick demo for those watching.
Yeah, sure. Let me. And I think this will make some people happy that have been asking about it. So
people have been asking. Isaac Mark, shout out to you. He's been asking me a lot. He's a fan of your stuff.
Okay, great. Here we go. Share. Okay. I was worried about getting doxxed on these things, So what you have here, I'm on your account, Amir. So we'll try to be good. If we do reveal any API keys, we'll make sure we get it. Remove them before you
I'm transparent. If I ever got 80% reply rates in my life, I would share it publicly with everybody. I'm a transparent person.
Yeah, no, I know you would. So what we have here is you come into the platform, and then you have like your data enrichment services. So email validation, what we have here is you would upload your list of results. Let's just say you had, you would have a list of results, and then what would happen would be they would come onto the screen, and then you would have here. I want to just change users real quick, because I want to put somebody with actually that actually has a little bit of.
You enrich my stuff off platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine.
Hold on 1 second here. Hold on 1 second. I just want to pull up the right. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, here, let me, yep. There's always this like fear of you have certain stuff on here. You want to be careful. Okay, this one should be fine. Okay, so we have, what you're going to have is.
Can you get the screen one more time? There you go. All right, we got it. Perfect. Awesome.
So we have this. So you go in here. Okay, so when we go in, we're on one of the accounts here. So what we have is you come in, and you would come in with a spreadsheet. You would upload it here, right? So you're going to have your basically your spreadsheet here, and you're going to be able to upload that, right? You're going to come to your list of data services that you have here. And what's going to happen is you're going to go in, you're going to upload that list, and then the result, we'll do the Martha Stewart version here, but the result will come back to you quickly. you're going to get broken down: valid emails, valid catch-all, invalid, unknown. Now, obviously, you can email the valids all day. You never have to worry about emailing a valid. What that means is we've messaged their email server and they've said that email exists. Then there's this fuzzy one, right? This valid catch-all one, which is part new, actually, we've added, right? And what this does is this tells you if the catch-all is valid or not, if we found out it to be valid on another way to detect it. There's a lot of tools that are sort of, they're not breaking this apart. And I think this is an important factor because the cost of finding this versus the cost of finding this is a lot different. I was actually just in a good discussion, a little bit of a heated debate against a competitor on this discussion. And, I think they're wrong on it. But what they do is they don't separate the two because it really matters. This is telling you we actually found it on the SMTP, the mail server told us, yes, it's valid. This is telling us we found it another way, right? There's multiple different ways the tools will find it, catch-alls. Now, if it's here, there's still a chance it's a real email. It doesn't mean we're saying it's not a real email. This is on a list that you submitted. But what this is telling you is it's telling you that you want to be risky here. So we want to find this in another way. For now, if this is enough email addresses, I would pause here and just email these people. Don't bother emailing these. Now,
so for everybody, this is the debate between email valids and catch-alls, right? And Jesse's on the side of don't email the catch-alls, just focus on valids for now, right? And it's safer. It's a safer way of doing it.
And then if you run out, you do want to email the catch-alls after, right? And that's the ones you want to start with are the ones that we're saying valid catch-all. Now we're improving this algorithm. I'm not letting anything in that's BS because there's a way you could open the gates and you could accidentally take in a ton of bad emails by doing it wrong. Right. And just to put it into perspective, the cost of this service is 0.000495. And you only pay if it's valid, these two buckets, or invalid. So
you're working on a usage model as well versus a SaaS model.
Right. So it's a consumption model. It's a credits model. But what I'm saying is you're getting, if we do a calculator, this is a very small number, 0.000495. Like that number goes on 3 decimal points. And I know salespeople and marketing people aren't great with math. That's a chat. You are because you're trading stocks, but that's a big number.
Yeah, I agree. It's very low cost, right? Your cost per
like if you're doing it out, right? If you're saying like for $99, if you're paying, right, that means you're getting 200,000 valid or invalid emails for the cost.
Yes,
right?
They're money.
Huge difference between what some of these. Now, the competitor that I'm talking to, that I was talking about today, they're charging 2 cents. The difference between 2 cents and 0.000495 is big.
2,000, yeah. It's several.
I just found 8,000 of them for 0.000495, and they found them. This same cost would be, whatever the number, 2 cents divided by, it's at least 100x, right? Maybe my math is wrong, but yeah, there you go, 40x. Sorry, my bad, but that's 40x difference between the two, and that's the starting point for the discussion. We're 40x less because you found them that way.
Makes sense to me.
So I don't know, they can say whatever, but that's the way it is. Then we have one where this is if you come in with the email address. Then we have another one, Email Finder. What this one does is this one allows you to find emails. What that does is it allows you to come in with first name, last name, company name, or LinkedIn, or whatever you have for the company name will take. Either company name, domain name, or LinkedIn. And then we find it based on that. We only charge you if we find the email. If we don't find the email, then we don't charge you on that, and you don't lose credits. We just do that. And then we always have an action button here to push to Clay or push to your favorite. We actually have a way to push it to a spreadsheet as well. But that's what we do. This pushes it to your Clay table or whatever.
Yeah, for everybody listening, Clay is one of the most popular sales engagement tools, not sales operation tables out there, and I think your API just went live with them, so it works well with
all of this stuff is accessible by API, which a lot of developers and people who are building products. We have a lot of SaaS companies now using our product to do it behind the scenes.
Cool.
Then Mobile Finder, which is this is if you're doing. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is sort of the best part of it is if we were to look here, and we would just like looked. If we click on this, this gives you a sheet. The sheet is just one of those like beautiful spreadsheets with all of the information. We've edited the sheet after, but basically like this gives you like, hey, this is everybody here, right? And we just append onto your sheet. So if you, whatever that is, you're going to get your sheet. Not only are you going to get it in the CSV here that you've already downloaded, you're going to also have it in a live results file, which is in Google Sheets. Now, a lot of people like that, right? They like the fact, and they can see what was consumed by them, right? The credits that consumed.
Yeah, so that's quickly enriching the sheet they upload, and they could see the mobile number and the usage right there. So it's not going back and forth with sheets. That's what we did when you use our mobile numbers.
Yeah, and most people don't want to go out of their spreadsheets, right? They want to keep it in their Clay or Google Sheets. Like, I think people are kind of sick of the platform plays, the lock-in platforms. The same story, the Zoom info story, rent the data, rent the platform. We're going to lock you in, and we're going to put a bunch of, booby traps in the data. And in case when you want to come up, our lawyers are going to be there for you. But that's what's going to happen. And, what we're trying to say is buy it by the success, right? If we find it, and look, if you called us up and said, hey, this email, or sorry, if you sent us a message saying we got a bunch of bad results, we're clearly going to refund it or whatever. It's never happened, but if it ever happened, the quality of what you get back is what's important. We only want to charge you for what you want to use. Like, nobody wants to pay for stuff.
Zoom info, Apollo, they're great companies. They're awesome. We all work with them. We all use them, but there's inefficiencies with cost and process, and you're fixing some of those problems. You're lowering the cost. You're making it faster, cheaper, more efficient. You're kind of open sourcing it so that people aren't locked into their platform, and they could use their own sheets, and they can put it into their own workflows and Smartlead and whatnot, which is great.
Yep. And that's kind of how we've done it. Now, the same with mobiles. Like, if we don't find the mobile, we're only going to give it to you if we've accurately found it. Now, how are we doing it? There's a couple of methods we're doing on mobile to verify them. Some stuff that I think it's pretty innovative. The stuff that we're doing, I'll be a little bit secretive there.
What can I share? What can't I share? So share something that
on the mobile finder, we're not calling them, so we're not doing that. I don't want to give people the notion that we're calling them, but there's a lot of places that you might put your phone number that we could validate it against, right? And I won't go into exactly which places we do it. It does tend to change. If somebody messages me, I'm happy to speak with them about that too, just to give them some confidence. We have to, just for the safety of the program, we have to keep it kind of confidential there, and it actually adds a lot more accuracy. But you'll be able to tell which mobiles we believe are real and then you can always push to Clay, and you can compete. You can put us in a waterfall or whatever you want to do. Plus, we're also in Clay. So if you're using Clay, you could just put your key, your Leadmagic API key, which you have up here, in Clay, and you could use it as much as you want for the cost.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So then we also have technographics, which this is like, we might compete against like a Built With or some of those tools. But, you come in, you submit it, and then this is 12 credits. This would be like, the equivalent of, let's say on like a basic plan, like $99 plan, that's about $12. So it's like a penny a credit. So that's kind of how you can think about it. That's like one list. So if you wanted to get all of the Shopify stores, if you wanted to get all of the 6 Cents installs, you could do that. And then that would just help your campaigns.
That's awesome. I actually have more things to play around, and I see more of the Slack messages coming in.
Yeah,
and the result.
We should. I'll give you. I'll send over the more credits over here so you can play around with it. But here's another one. Like, I know this is how I would talk. Let's just. I'll show you how we would do this one. So what we're doing here. This is our jobs data. What we're doing on here is really cool, actually. So we found everybody's job board, and we're scraping the actual public job board that they have out there for their live records. And we're doing it real time. So we're doing it like every hour, we're scraping everybody's job board, and we're finding out what their jobs are. So if you go to like here, right, Salesforce is hiring as of now. They just posted it, right? They just posted that they're hiring a sales development rep in Israel out of there. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing here, but that's on their Workday. And then we have that, and then they get all of that information on here. And then what people will do is they'll they'll kind of segment it or whatever. Let's see if let's just get sales development, but let's target just the US. So what we want to do is just target the US. Whoops, I meant to do country.
Colombia?
Yeah, sure. Let's do Colombia. Let's see who's targeting there. So there's 50 companies hiring in Colombia. So what we're going to do, the last one was so I'll just show you how this list would go, and I'll show you how you'd build an automatic trigger to go email these people. So quickly, the way you do it is you get the whole list, right? It will cost 50 credits or whatever for those 50. Then it's going to show up in your history, right? It's going to be taking it live, right? It's already pretty much done, right? So we've got it here. Now you have those 50 in there. Did you see how fast that? I mean, we didn't pause the video or anything, right? That just happened, you know. And then what I would do is I would just grab my Clay table and I would just push to Clay. So I would go push to Clay.
I hope my team's watching this, David Majura and Eduardo, because we need to execute on that.
Yeah. So then it pushes it into Clay. Now you've got the company and you've got all of that. Now you can go and create the company name here, and you could just go and target whoever the VP of sales is here. So there'd be, obviously, we would have to go in and just do a role search, or we could use, the Google search here. But we would get the name, and then we do the enrichment. Then we would just add, a Smartlead campaign. We could just add the lead to a campaign in Smartlead. And that whole workflow, I've set that up now for people. And what happens is you end up just automatically emailing the people that are hiring the second that it's posted.
You end up saving money and making money.
Yeah, so it's cool. So these automated workflows
cost a lot of time. You probably didn't get it right, you know.
Yeah.
Quick question, Jeff. What about someone omnichannel? Could you also ensure that like this gets onto like a LinkedIn campaign or like a display ad campaign? So can you push? Do you have any clients that are
Yep.
running a revenue
Now,
program?
What I'll do is I'll be careful. Let me caveat this. Obviously, you want to read the terms and conditions before you start automating any platform. Email is not a platform, regardless of what big companies want to tell you. Email is not a platform. You're allowed to automate it. So email is a network protocol. It's not owned by anybody. It's the internet. It's SMTP. It's a protocol. So there's no terms and service. Your provider has terms and services, and I hope you abide by them. But let's talk about LinkedIn. So if you want to automate LinkedIn, you would use in here. There's a thing called Phantom Buster, and you could just push the data to Phantom Buster and do the connection.
Can you tell
Now, I don't automate LinkedIn based on, it would impact me personally, just because I have a good sized following and I would never want to get blocked or on their bad side. But right now, if I was another company, I'd consider it just because of, the impact is big.
You spend advertisement money, right? And build highly accurate audiences, right? So you got to pay attention in terms of in conditions, of course. But I would.
What you could do is push it to an ad platform, right?
Yeah.
You could build a webhook here that would just automatically push it
like
to
a metadata.io or something like that, like some one of those kind of.
Well, that's what metadata is doing under the surface. But if you wanted to do it yourself and build your own, you could just use the HTTP API, and you could just push into the LinkedIn ad audience. You could just push it in from here.
Awesome. There's a lot here. So for me, one of the big things I'm watching this demo, there's also a tool for the up and coming RevOps role, which is still being defined, right? People think we're doing operations. This is, to me, it just feels like the future with platform is going to be more efficient, more nimble, and instead of trying to create a platform that does everything, it's going to be, connecting them all through APIs like Clay, right? So I kind of get the feeling that this methodology is kind of the future to stay ahead of the curve, and people that are actually passionate about building revenue engines that are unique, different, would really find value in Leadmagic versus just a company that just wants, 2 sequences, something simple, probably not the best fit, but for people who are looking to really connect all the best processes and tools together, to me, it seems like a great opportunity for those people, which is a huge growing cohort of people too.
Yeah, so that's totally right. I totally agree with what you're saying there. And I think the platform story is a little bit like, no, it's going to get broken up. Like everything will get broken down to smaller parts and people will buy for people who are flexible and have a, like it's not going to, I think people are going to get unlocked from these big giant platforms. The platform play has never been proven over time, like to be success. Like it'll eventually end. Right now, there'll be some major companies built on it, but like, when you look at like a Clay, the reason they're doing so well is because they're so engaged with the communities out there that are talking about this, and there are people that just love the product, and that's why we've invested a lot of time in integrating with their technology and doing that. We don't have a lot of cycles, but we're not going to go out and be like, hey, we want to go integrate with like Salesforce, right? And there's a reason for that, right? Because if we wasted a bunch of time there, I don't think their users would just like, they don't have the user, like their user base is just not as motivated as I found the users on Clay to try new stuff out. So we have to go there, right? That's where the puck goes, and we're just following it there, right? But if you get me there.
I do, yeah. It's basically like the old enterprise where spending $1 million in Salesforce and $1 million in Zoom Info and not being able to change for 10 years. You're more of more of a product-led growth, listening to the customer and not trying to lock everyone in contracts for the investor, right? And it's more geared towards the user if I understand it correctly, which is totally fine. And I think every product has a life cycle, and perhaps Salesforce and Zoom Info were like that 15 years ago, but they changed a little bit, which is totally fine. And you're kind of filling that gap probably where what got them there was probably low contracts, good pricing, a lot of listening to the customer. And what's up? And as they grew, they changed, and now you're filling in that gap, which is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So anything else to tell us? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, this is the last one. So this is like if you were trying to find out what companies are spending now on ads, on Google Ads, paid. This is paid Google Ads. You would basically come in here and you would upload a list of domain names, company names, and you could just download the results file. This is just to get a sample of like what it looks like. But basically what this is going to tell you, this is free. You can get the yearly if you want for free. But basically I want to open it with an Excel file here. So then I would just open it with, we'll just look at it as a Excel. There it is. So then basically I've just been doing some coding here. You never know what the computer's going to do with that. But basically this is what you would get. So you would get like a list of the month. So this would be like, February of 22, this company, Bloom.ai, $31. So you can see, and what we find a good trend is if you're calling somebody to develop, hey, if they're buying ads for leads and they're buying ads for sort of generating revenue, you probably want to say like, hey, you're spending this much on ads. Like, have you ever thought about doing it this way? They're going to be a lot more receptive to that than they would be if you were just coming in like, hey, I'm Mr. Cold Call, Mr. and Mrs. Cold Call, like they get a lot of that now. So like coming in a little bit differently like that. So you could just upload that list here and then what they're doing, and it's funny when we actually find a weird trend that not many people know about that we've talked about. But if we look at companies that are doing layoffs, what we found is 3 months before, they typically slash their ad budget before the layoff. So this has also been used by a lot of SDRs to find out if they're losing their job or not. What they'll do is they'll come in and they'll look at the system and they'll say, wow, my company just slashed our ad spend by like 100%. Now, the good ones aren't going to just quit. They're going to go start asking the right questions internally, right? Of course, don't just quit on this date. I'm not trying to guarantee. We haven't had 100% hit rate. If we did, we would be doing other stuff. But it is a good indicator. It's a sort of like an indicator you can get before the news drops kind of thing. And this is like, I'm sure we have got a lot of investment professionals that are in here looking at companies and trying to determine this is actually a good indicator for this. And if you could find out when a company drops their ad spend, it's going to be a huge opportunity for you to know what's going on.
In a reverse direction, where if a company is increasing ad spend, it might be a good indication.
Yep.
Market fit.
It probably means, if it's a B2B company that also has a sales motion, they're going to need salespeople to cover those leads. So you would come in and you would say, hey, I saw you just increased your ad spend by 50% month over month. Assuming that means you're going to salespeople.
It makes sense. We'll go both ways, right? But knowing the pirate community, you're definitely you're definitely a supporter of the SDR and the little guy. So I appreciate that, and as I am. I also help people get jobs in the marketplace. So I definitely align with you there, but both signals are both directions, right? And I've seen you talk about the layout predictor as well. So
It's
also
weird.
a
It's
higher.
weird that it works. I'm surprised that it actually works. But it does make
yeah, there's
sense.
a lot of tools out there. I get sometimes consulting requests for like, Zoom Info or this or that through consulting platforms. And it's like right before someone's going to make a big investment, right? So it's like, there's also a lot of signals in the street that people need to put their ear down that they can take action on to drive revenue, right? So, which is cool. Anything else you got for us, Jesse? I'll let you get back to coding,
we
man.
have another section, and I would just say if you're a Smartlead user, some people are doing this. We have a whole section for Smartlead. This is just basically we've represented the data from Smartlead. We're not storing it. We're actually just what we're doing is we're just giving you the Smartlead data in like a different format, which a lot of people like just because we ran a lot of our own campaigns and we needed it to be in a certain format. So people will use this to kind of augment their Smartlead system. And then we also have a Google Sheets plugin that looks a lot like this to just kind of enrich the data just for our APIs. And then we've got, we got a lot of things coming. We're working on the accuracy. We're working on all kinds of things. So, really excited. If you want to try it out, it's 100 credit, or you can get 100 credits, or, if you need more to test it, just like chatbot us and we'll figure something out. But you can come in and just try it now with your email. You don't even need your company or any approval or anything. So come on in and try it out.
Guys, before I let you go, screenshot. This is my Slack. That's my Leadmagic channel. You can see I got all these responses piped in. I can quickly go to email campaign reply rates. This is all from my campaign with Leadmagic, which I find to be awesome on the done for you service. Jesse, anybody who's looking to try Leadmagic or contact you or be part of your community, where can they find you and how can they communicate with you, and how can they get in that WhatsApp group that you keep so private?
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, thanks for all your contributions in there, man. And I know you've put out a lot of good content in there, and you put out a lot of good stuff. I really value the partnership and also your marketplace. I mean, we've seen some good traction there. A lot of people, obviously, you're pretty well known entity in the B2B SaaS world, and looking forward to continuing the partnership here.
Yeah, likewise. I appreciate that. My one ask is if you see anything that I post that is off or not accurate, I want you to call me out publicly. It will make me happy.
Is accurate.
No, but
that might be the problem. No,
great. What I ask is I want you to promise me that you'll call me out publicly. I love debate. I love conversation. I think that debate and conversation is great for the industry. So promise me you'll call me out, okay? Jesse, you're the man. I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry, and I hope to help the right buyers find the right software so that they can make informed revenue decisions, because ultimately it affects the people who get hired, the SDRs, the AEs. They're often not talked about, right? Their career, the difference between President's Club and 2 years staying at a company versus getting churned out has a lot to do with the company's ability to create demand gen. And it's often overlooked that the people behind the scenes that are helping leaders create consistent pipeline, they also affect people's lives and their jobs and their families. So thank you for the work you do. And I appreciate you and everybody who took the time to listen to the podcast, and appreciate you guys. Take a look below and you can see some links for some free trials of the softwares we mentioned. And always feel free to give us some feedback on how we can improve the information we share with you guys. Thank you. Take care.
Awesome.